Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, May 14th, 2017. As a longtime fan of The Young and the Restless and as a longtime fan of Sharon, I don't want to fail to appreciate the irony that Sharon is taking college psychology courses. I feel like the writers must have had a good laugh sitting around the table coming up with that one. Like maybe somebody said, we should have Sharon take some college courses. Oh yeah, what would she be studying? Psychology. Someone probably said psychology as a joke and just bless whoever it was that green-lighted it and said, yeah, go with it. That's funny and it works. I mean, it seems like Sharon's major is psychology. She's really digging in deep here, and it's ironic and it's beautiful, and it, in a way, kind of makes the character come full circle. She's poring over notes about phobias and all of this stuff, and it's, in a way, elevated her to this new level of stability. It's bizarre that studying psychology as someone who has bipolar disorder and who has a mental illness, it has made her more of a stable character. I really like this version of Sharon. It seems like the version of Sharon that I've been asking for a long time. She's funny and she's youthful, but she's also become really smart and really sensitive and caring and socially aware. I liked that Y&R is having her volunteer at a crisis hotline. I like that she said, you know, I've had some dark times in my life and I'm doing this because I think there were some moments where I would have benefited being able to talk to someone about the things that I was going through, someone who was on the outside of the situation. So I am hoping that I'm going to be able to be there for someone. That's just really cool to me. She has become just probably one of my favorite characters on the show right now. I also really like, though, that there's this element to Sharon right now that is so rejuvenated in kind of a youthful way. She is sitting at her kitchen table eating French fries and listening to her headphones while she's flipping through textbooks. It's a new version of Sharon. It is a renewed, rejuvenated, youthful version of Sharon, whereas in contrast, by the way, Mariah is getting older and older by the day. Every week that goes by and we see Mariah, she's becoming an old woman. She's almost wagging her finger at Sharon there. Have you had any lunch today, young lady? It's probably very appropriate for Mother's Day week that we see this dynamic between mother-daughter that we've seen before, where the daughter is far more like a mother than the mother. But we've had Sharon being a mother. We've seen Sharon being a mother. Let's see Sharon being Sharon. Let's see her being whoever she is creatively and intellectually. She just feels so renewed and so refreshed to me, and she's actually given Scott a reason to stay in town. She's so appealing that even though he kind of wants to fly the coop at this point, he could very well leave Genoa City and not have any regrets. He kind of wants to stay in town to see what Sharon is up to and to pursue this relationship with her. She's giving him a reason to stick around, and he is giving her this stage, almost this ability to rant, to just talk and to just be herself and to be heard without needing to be rescued, without needing to have someone solve the problem. I like that about them. They had their first kiss this week. It wasn't rock my world first kiss. I don't feel like I'm ready to see Sharon in a relationship right now. I think it's too soon after everything that happened with Dylan. She acknowledged that the ink is not even dry on her divorce papers. So I don't think she's really ready for a relationship yet. I'm not really ready for her to be in a serious relationship yet, but I do appreciate what's going on between Sharon and Scott. If for nothing else, then simply for the fact that Scott is one of the only people in town who don't see Sharon like a mental case. Well, this animosity between Abby and Scott came out of literally nowhere. 2 weeks ago, Abby was telling Victor that she thought Scott was kind of cute, and it seemed like Victor wanted to hook them up. And she was being interviewed for Victor's book, and it seemed like those two were getting along perfectly fine. And this week, Scott is making jokes about her naked heiress past. He's calling her vapid, and she hates him. She looks at him like he's something that she just scraped off the bottom of her shoe. So this can only mean one thing, folks. It is a recipe for future romance. You know it's coming. You know that Abby and Scott are gonna hook up one of these days, whether it's sooner or later. There's no other reason for this anger to have come out of nowhere except to service as the precursor for romance. Maybe Sharon and Scott are just the preview, and Abby and Scott are supposed to be the main feature. Maybe. So, I can't believe this. Victor discovers a mystery invoice at Newman Enterprises that he knows nothing about. And of course, we know that it's connected to Abby's behind Victor's back incubator investment idea that she's got going on with Jack. And Victor, although he doesn't know the details, figures out that something is going on with her pretty quickly. Abby is doing the worst job ever of hiding the fact that she's up to something. Victor can sense it. Ashley can sense it. You could have a 30-second conversation with her and figure out that she's up to something shady. But I was very surprised that Victor decides the best way to deal with this is to hire Scott for an executive position at Newman Enterprises and have him keep an eye on Abby. Basically, all Scott's job description is put on a suit, spy on Abby, and report back to me. Scott has no problem whatsoever with the spy part. He's an investigative journalist. This is right up his alley. But the suit, me in a suit, he says. I mean, come on. It's like the one interesting thing about this guy is the fact that he's one of the only guys in town who's not wearing a suit and going to the office. He's a little bit of a rebel. He's a little bit rogue. I don't want to see Scott in a suit. If we're gonna have Scott, I want to see his curly hair, a little bit messy. I like his offbeat style. I want to see him in a dirty jacket. I want, if Scott is on my screen, I like that they've established him as a kind of a rebel, as a rogue. I want to believe that his clothes have been on the floor for a week and he just picked them up and put them on. I mean, and I can't blame him for hesitating on taking this job. Yes, he feels that he owes Victor for saving his life, but is he basically going to be a slave to Victor forever then? Victor paid $10 million to get him out of this trouble when he was held hostage. He'll never, ever be able to pay off $10 million. I don't know how much his executive salary is, but he will never be able to repay in his lifetime $10 million. I don't even know if his salary is going to be enough to cover a new suit that he's not using for weddings or funerals. Isn't that, see, that's the thing. Scott's a little bit more like an everyman in that way. Guys out there, unless you are working an executive position, you probably do have one suit in the closet that you use for weddings and funerals. It may or may not fit real well. You just gotta pull that out and hope nobody notices this is your one suit. I liked that element of thinking about Scott's character, and I don't really want him to change that. But on the plus side, putting him into this situation is helping to develop his personality a little bit. I don't feel like I knew a whole lot about Scott up until the past couple of weeks, and I'm starting to get a little bit more. I like that he's a little bit messy. I feel like he probably leaves crumbs all over the place, and that makes him different. That sets him apart from the other guys on the show. I'm assuming that he's going to spend enough time with Abby to be able to sniff out the fact that she is collaborating with Jack on this investment deal. It's so unnecessary. Abby has taken such an unnecessary risk even doing this whole thing with Jack. She could have just continued to revise her presentation to Victor, and I think he would have accepted it. And now instead she's gotten herself into a pot of boiling water, and it's not going to work out in her favor. The one thing though that did pop up this week is that Victor has decided he wants to acquire a multimedia company, which is what Mergeron Enterprises has a specialty in. Newman Enterprises and Mergeron Enterprises. Couldn't we come up with something a little bit different there, Y&R? I know they're both old school names, so I can't criticize that too much. It's just funny that they're both enterprises. But the thing is, Victor wants to acquire he at least has expressed kind of an interest in a company like Mergeron, and Abby sees that as a possible opportunity to make a deal with Deena. I think that on a level, it's because Abby wants to prove herself to Victor. It would be a great feather in Newman Enterprises' cap, as Deena herself said. But I also think that maybe Abby is trying to find out a little bit about, or get to know a thing or two about, her long lost grandmother, Deena. All she knows is what Ashley's told her, and it's very, very little. So it's natural, I think, that Abby would be curious about Deena, but Deena is already deep in negotiations with Devon and Neil. It's kind of sneaky and underhanded, and I suppose similar to what we would expect from Deena, that she gave them the green light to go to start working together, and now she's starting to throw in a lot of little extra demands. Devon and Neil are feeling that they may not be able to meet all of these demands. I wonder what they are. I imagine we're going to find out maybe next week. I really thought for sure that Hamilton Winters would snatch up that company, because what else are they going to do? But now it's kind of looking like maybe Abby will be able to acquire that for Newman Enterprises. She makes a phone call to Deena at the very end of the week. I don't think that Deena really had any idea who she was talking to. I don't think she knew it was Abby on the line. Deena just perceived it as being someone from Victor's company. She finds a nice way to tell Victor's company to take their offer and shove it, but it's clear to me from the actions we've already seen from Deena that this whole thing with her company is not just about selling her company. I think that Deena cares who she sells her company to. If you remember back to last week when she was negotiating with Devon and Neil on the plane, she didn't give two hoots about Hamilton Winters until she found out that Devon was Catherine Chancellor's grandson. So what's she gonna do when she finds out that Ashley's daughter, Abby, her granddaughter, is the one who's putting an offer on the table? Oh, sure. Phyllis could feed Billy exotic cuisine. She could rock his body all night long. But Victoria can take him to Disneyland. Never underestimate the power that the mother of his children is going to have. That is a connection that cannot, will not ever be broken. In so many ways, Billy and Victoria are a closer family now than they were 1 week ago. Billy is now having nightly visits with Johnny and Katie. He's going over there every night to tuck them in. They're bonding every single day at home. Victoria and Billy are having opportunities to bond every single day at Brash and Sassy. Again, Victoria and Billy probably have a better working relationship today than they had 1 week ago. Victoria is giving Billy all kinds of recognition and accolades at work. She's funding his new business ideas. He decides that it would be a great idea for Brash and Sassy to shoot a commercial with a big name director to promote the whole pro hockey tie-in. So they're gonna have to make a trip to Los Angeles for this shoot, for this film shoot, and cunning Victoria decides to she wants to tack on a few vacation days to the trip and like make it a whole family thing, a family trip of a lifetime. Oh, isn't she being crafty in the most beautiful kind of way right now? Victoria is making these subtle jabs at Phyllis too about the time that she's going to be spending with Billy in LA. It's going to be something they're never going to forget. And I think it was on Friday's show, Victoria was talking to Nikki about this whole thing, and she made a comment that Phyllis may be winning right now, but I'm still in the game. And I think that summarizes exactly where Victoria's mind is right now. She is not going to fight hard for Billy. She's going to fight smart for Billy. Victoria is playing a long game here. She believes that Phyllis and Billy are a flash in the pan. She feels that she knows her man and that this is all going to fizzle out eventually, and she'll be there with his children to welcome him back when the time is right. I don't know if that's what's gonna happen, but it's certainly what Victoria believes, and it's of course the opposite from what Phyllis believes. I'm afraid Phyllis is gonna have her work cut out for her here. They're two very different types of women with two very different approaches. Phyllis commented this week that she really believes that she and Billy are the real deal. It's not just an affair. It's not just a fling. It's not a flash in the pan. Phyllis believes in Billy's feelings for her. I think she's right to, but Phyllis also knows deep down that Billy's feelings for Victoria didn't just disappear into thin air. They're still going to be there. There's still going to be interactions with Victoria. There's still going to be feelings that have to be contended with. So Phyllis wants to make her best pitch. I think Phyllis wants to show Billy that he chose wisely, that everything Victoria has to offer with the kids and the past and the history, Phyllis can compete with. She can offer something that is equally, if not more, compelling. So she decides to make him a very special dinner. Now, Phyllis ends up making more of a mess than anything else. I don't even know how she made that incredible mess. She ended up trying to make a souffle with flour all over her face, all over the kitchen. Gina Tognoni was hilarious in the cooking scene. This woman has such a stellar personality, doesn't she? And she's flourishing at Y&R. She's flourishing in this character. Totally deserved the Emmy that she won. I really love watching her. All of just the little comments that she made during the cooking scene, just being herself. I really liked it. She just adds some, like, a lot of pizzazz to the show. It was a fun scene anyway, but she made it her own. She really, really owned it. And it was funny to see her, like, covered in flour. Like, Phyllis is a character who is known for her terrible cooking skills, so it was all the more hilarious that it was going on and that she was somehow able to pull off and flawlessly execute one of the most difficult desserts to make. I don't know why she would choose a souffle, but she did. She decides she wants to make a chocolate souffle. She goes through all of this hardship trying to make it happen. She pulls it out of the oven, practically kisses it as she pulls it out of the oven because she accomplished it. She made it happen. She sets up this cute little dinner for Billy to surprise him. She texts him to come on by and see her, but things are getting crazy at work now. Some of it I think is by design, but the film shoot has to be moved up. There's no two ways about it. They have to get out to LA. They have to get this project going if they're gonna do it. So Billy really has no time right now. He comes over to Phyllis just to say hi, but he can't really even stay for a glass of wine. And it really hurt her feelings. It was obvious that she felt dashed, but she's trying. She wants to be understanding. She's trying to be supportive, and it's in her best interest anyway, because being naggy or being clingy or making Billy feel guilty about not being able to say certainly isn't going to help anything. So Phyllis tells him, go. Forget about this little dinner. It was nothing anyway, when we know what she went through. And as she closes the door behind Billy, the souffle just collapses in on its sad self. It was probably the perfect metaphor for how Phyllis must have been feeling in that moment, you know? Something that was so hard to achieve, finally made to perfection after all of this time and all of this struggle, and then in one moment, deflated. I felt so bad for her. She really is getting the short end of the stick here in more ways than one. Things are coming up Billy. Billy's life is going great right now. He's got Phyllis. He's got this great job. Phyllis, on the other hand, her boss, Jack, has rewarded her with overtime. Why is Kane so uptight? Why does Kane care how much this commercial is costing Victoria? It's not his money. It's not his company, for crying out loud. If Victoria wants to blow all of her budget, all of her cash on this idea of Billy's, let her. If Billy wants to take the lead on this whole project, let him. Let him hang himself. If he's going to hang himself or if he's going to get the glory, let him. Find other ways to shine. Find other ways to show your worth or get out of there. And the bigger issue here, let Lily have this opportunity of a lifetime. It didn't even occur to him that this whole commercial thing might be something that Lily would be excited about. All he can do is sit there and grump in the corner while everybody else is excited. He's so angry and sad and annoying these days. Why not just go along for the ride. He's being far more considerate about Brash and Sassy's budget than about his own wife's feelings. Lily is actually excited to go and do this, to have a chance to act, to be on screen. I thought it was such an adorable moment where after Kane was Mr. Grump Man, she goes to Crimson Lights and has a little drink with Jordan, and they're both talking about this exciting opportunity, and she just almost bashfully said, I don't, this is kind of out of my wheelhouse. I've never acted before. That was so cute. I like when things become meta, I liked that Crystal Khalil had to utter those words when she's been acting her entire life. It was absolutely adorable. And now, by the way, from the previews of Monday's show, we know the story behind the Dare billboard that popped up in LA. I think Robbie sent me a photo of that, and I thought, why would Y&R have a photo of of Dare and not a branding of the Young and the Restless? That didn't entirely make sense to me, but now it does. The Brash and Sassy's on their big trip to LA, and they're doing this big campaign, and it was and that's actually kind of a lot of money to spend on a gig, but it's gonna be cool to see it next week. I absolutely love it. And I mean, while they're there, they're certainly going to be doing some shots around the city of LA, which we know is where Y&R is filmed. So that's going to be really fun. I wish that they would somehow do some Bold and the Beautiful crossover, since we know Forrester Creations is in LA too, but I doubt it. I don't think that's going to happen. I'll tell you one thing for sure. Juliet is a pot stirrer. That's who she is. She likes to get in there and stir up some drama and see what happens. I think that's part of her personality. It's hard to work at Brash and Sassy and not see exactly what's going on with Billy and Victoria and Phyllis, but there was a moment when Phyllis stopped by the lab and Juliet was there alone. Phyllis asked where Billy was, and Juliet couldn't wait to say, oh, he's at Victoria's house. And she knew what she was saying. She knew exactly what she was doing. It's almost as if, I wonder if Juliet is kind of doing to Kane what Kane wants to do to Billy. I think she's got an ulterior motive here. I don't think it's necessarily dark, but I think that she's waiting for things to explode at Brash and Sassy so that she can take advantage of it. I think that she wants Billy to succeed with Victoria so that it gets under Kane's skin and possibly gets him out of the picture. I think that Juliet's kind of waiting for Kane to screw up in the way that Kane's waiting for Billy to screw up so that she can take advantage of it, probably so that she can have his job. And I say, go for it. Go for it. Get Kane out of Brash and Sassy. He's obviously not happy there. He'd be better off working for Devon or Neil anyway. At least then he'd be working for his family business. From Hilary's perspective, I think that it's not just about the fact that Mariah is sleeping with Devon. I think that Hilary is kicking herself for letting it happen. Hilary did choose to go off on her own Hilary tear through Genoa City, wanting fame, fortune, wanting to just do what she wanted to do, wanting to just be the Hurricane Hilary, and she chose that over her marriage with Devon in a lot of ways. She had opportunities to pull back from the path that she was on and to just focus on her marriage, and she didn't see what she had until it was gone. Now it feels like Mariah is walking around inside of her life, the life that she wanted, the life that she knows in her heart that she should have prioritized and she should have chose. Now Mariah is in her bed. Mariah's even wearing her clothes. After the whole lovemaking session between Devon and Mariah, Devon lets Mariah go upstairs and wear a dress, put on a dress that Hilary had. It had the tags on. I don't think either of them thought necessarily that it would be as big of a deal as it ended up being, although I don't know, maybe Mariah did. I'm sure Devon thought less of it, but Mariah walks into work wearing a dress that, even though Hilary hadn't worn it, she'd picked it out. She knew what the dress was. Mariah had to know that that was going to get up under Hilary's skin, right? I don't think it was entirely innocent, but maybe Mariah didn't know how much it was going to piss Hilary off. Hilary practically rips the dress right off of Mariah. I bet Devon wishes he was there for that moment. It erupted into this full-on cat fight that was a long time coming, if we're honest with ourselves. These two ladies needed to just have a knockdown, drag out. I wonder who would have won if it hadn't fizzled out. I think it's a pretty good match. I don't know who would have won. But it did just kind of fizzle out. They just, they knew they were not accomplishing anything, so they just sort of stopped. And there was this poignant moment where Hilary, hair all messed up, clothes torn off her, same for Mariah. Hilary just looks over at Mariah and says, you know, you can have sex with Devon all you want. You can wear my clothes, you can walk around inside of my life, but you will never replace me. And she just gets up and walks away. And I think, and Mariah almost kind of, I think, chuckled in this moment. I don't think Mariah is one little bit intimidated by Hilary. I don't think that Mariah gives at all of a concern to Hilary and Devon's relationship. I get the impression, this is just from my viewing of it, that Mariah feels pretty secure in her relationship with Devon, and Devon seems pretty devoted to Mariah, even though Hilary assumes, maybe out of ego, that she is a major factor in their relationship. I'm starting to wonder if she really is. I'm not getting the impression that Devon is secretly pining hard for Hilary and just using Mariah to get back at her. I think that he still loves Hilary. That's his ex-wife. Once again, those feelings don't just disappear. But Devon and Mariah kind of seem like they're going on about their business while it's Hilary who's really missing the past. Hilary marches over to Devon's condo, so cute in her pink jumpsuit. I love jumpsuits. I can't wear them, but I just admire anybody who can pull off a jumpsuit. It's practically falling off of her. Her hair is all crazy, and she just like launches into a rant on him. And of course they're arguing, and of course she's feeling horrible about everything that has happened, but I think that she's using any kind of ammo that she can come up with to get back at Devon. You know, I didn't ask you for anything, Devon. You know, the least you can do is maybe help me store a few dresses and you give them to your new girlfriend. That's so disrespectful. But she's arguing and arguing with him, and the argument continues out into the hallway, and she says, you know what, Devon, who even cares if you're sleeping with Mariah? I've been sleeping with Jordan for weeks and it's great. And who should happen to be wandering around in the hallway there at that time but Jordan? Of course. It feels pretty clear to me that Jordan is the rebound guy for Hilary at this point. But look, at least she was open and she was honest with him. They had to sit down and have a talk about the status of their relationship and if she's using him or anything. And I liked what she said. I liked that she opened up about exactly what happened at Devon's, and that she said, you know, this is just part of my process with my divorce. I want to move on, but it's easier said than done. Wait, why was Jordan roaming the hall? Well, it's because he just came from a secret meeting with Chelsea where he revealed that apparently Jordan, he used to make fake passports. I guess that makes sense as a photographer, but Chelsea calls him there to her apartment to see if he can help her find out how Chloe would have gotten a fake passport to get out of the country. Although Jordan is not really able to help, he is able to tell her that whatever Chloe did, it would have had to have taken some money. It would have had to have taken some connections. So Chelsea is going to have to figure out this little mystery on her own. Chloe's fake passport would require more money and more connections than she would have had on her own. Who could have been helping her? I wonder who that could be. It must have been someone pretty powerful. Come on. I suppose that I naively assumed that the whole secret about Adam's death and Victor's connection to Chloe would stay hidden when Victor killed the book idea, but maybe not. I'm getting the feeling that that connection is going to come out. So I suppose maybe Victor's secret connection to Chloe is now going to be Chelsea's truth to discover. I don't know whether I want to feel sorry for Tessa or whether I want to just hook her up to a lie detector test. Maybe both. I can't get a read on her. I want to get your read on her. So that's our poll question for the week. Based on everything that you know now and just based on your senses, I'd love for you guys to look into your personal crystal balls and tell me, is Tessa a good girl or is she a total con? I mean, I think she could be a good girl with a past or a good girl who's maybe had some trouble past, but there is also a possibility that she is playing a straight up con game here. What do you guys think? YRChat.com. I can't wait to see those poll results this week. And if you want to leave comments on any little things that might lead you to believe that you're right, I want to know what the beat is here from the Y&R community on Tessa's character. Nikki discovers this week that Tessa has been living out of her car. I don't know why Nikki never noticed that Tessa's clothes smell a little bit like stale gasoline. I would think that it might be a little bit obvious, but I don't know. Nikki has a good heart. I believe that Nikki sees a little bit of herself in Tessa. Whether or not that's true, Nikki sees someone who's having a rough time, who could use a break, a diamond who could use someone to pull her out of the rough, right? I think that she would love nothing more than to give Tessa an opportunity in a way that she was given an opportunity. So the thing is that Nikki giving Tessa a job would have been more than enough opportunity to help turn her life around. She didn't have to offer her her home too. I appreciate where Nikki's coming from. Again, I think her heart is in the right place, but this is a bad idea. Nikki doesn't know Tessa at all, and now she's living there. Nikki refused anybody saying, maybe you should check into this girl, do a little background check, something. Nikki just decided to ignore that, and now Tessa's right there under her own roof, and it could spell disaster for Nikki and for her family. Honestly, I think that Nikki is mostly being blinded here by her desire to piss Victor off. At least 50% of this decision had to be defiance, because she knows that Victor is not gonna like it. She wants to assert herself as lady of the manor, and Victor as he's the subordinate now. She's in control, and Victor just better go along with whatever I want, even if it's a bad idea. She had another big fight with him this week. I was so disappointed in that, because when Victor saw Nikki at the Underground performing at the open mic, I interpreted it, maybe because I always want to see the best of Victor, but I interpreted it as maybe he was a little bit impressed with her, and maybe he saw something in her that he saw all of those years ago when they fell in love. But no, he immediately jumped on her, acting like he was embarrassed that she would dare, that Nicole Newman, the new doyenne of Genoa City, would dare step onto a stage at a dirty bar that his son owns. You're still Mrs. Victor Newman, you know. Ugh. I don't like it. I would so much rather have that. I wish that would have gone a different way, but it didn't. There's just so much animosity in that house right now. I tell you what, though, I do kind of want to see Victor corner Tessa at the ranch now that he knows she's living there, or whenever he finds out. I don't know if I can't remember if he found out or not, but I kind of want to see Victor corner Tessa, because I'm struggling to know where she's coming from and to get a good read on her. There was that whole thing at the open mic, was that Friday, where there was a drunk heckler. Tessa and Reed are performing, and before the show, this guy gave Tessa the creeps. During the show, he was calling out, and then after the show, he cornered her in the hallway by the bathrooms and tries to make a move on her. I like that she kneed him. She gave him a whole like crotch full of knee to get away, and it was cute the way Noah jumped in there too to try to help her out. He loves a damsel in distress, just like his father. It also almost makes a little bit of a connection that Tessa had that conversation with Sharon last week. Maybe that's where this is headed. Maybe we're gonna finally get Noah's real relationship out of this. Nikki always assumed that Sharon was bad news for Nick, but maybe it's just flipped now. Maybe Victor's gonna assume that Tessa's bad news for Noah, and maybe Tessa's our next generation Sharon. I don't know, that could be a stretch, but there was something about that incident that made me think that Tessa is someone who is always looking over her shoulder, like maybe she owes somebody money or something, and they're gonna come and collect and bring a whole world of danger with them that's gonna land right on Nikki's doorstep. I keep thinking back, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was, but one of our Y&R chatters had theorized right off the bat that when Tessa came on, she was gonna bring some trouble with her, and I'm wondering if this is right now, that maybe Victor will end up rescuing Nikki from whatever trouble is following Tessa. I'm positively bursting with joy. That was our quote from last week. Jack said that to Phyllis when she was asking him, can't you just be happy for me? I'm positively bursting with joy. Jack is so sarcastic in the best way. I like Jack. I am excited to see how he's gonna connect in to the whole Nikki and Victor mess. It's 100% possible that Nikki's going to, whether on purpose or whether on accident, end up giving Jack some kind of ammunition against Victor. I don't know how it's all gonna go down, but I think I prefer my Jack a little crotchety. I like him to be crotchety, but then I also love that Jack that's also kind of got hearts in his eyes, very sentimental. I really like Peter Bergman. You can't beat that guy. So anyway, our quote from last week had 9 people who got it right and guessed that it was Jack, and those 9 were Tina Cole, Henry, Jillian, Beatrice, Consuela, Heather, Ambreen, Sandra, and Tanya. Very, very good. I like this week's quote too. Sometimes they just pop out at me. I hear it and that's the one. So here we go. Ambition does strange things to people. Who said it? Ambition does strange things to people. YRChat.com is where you can go and leave your guess. You'll see right there on the website where you can submit it. And if you get it right, then I will give you your shout out on next week's Y&R Chat. And now my favorite part, your comments. Jamie left me a voicemail and she says, I wish Nikki and Victor would go back to being a power couple who are partners in crime. I just loved when Nikki embraced Victor's dark side and Victor actually let her in. That was like this brief, beautiful moment, and I want to get back to that, Jamie says. You know what? Darn it. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. It was sort of a flash preview of a Nikki and Victor that could have been, and then it just got dropped. I think that I would prefer to see Nikki and Victor working together than seeing her constantly trying to one-up him or prove herself as being just as ruthless as him. Maybe once all of this is done, we can get back to that. That would be my preference too. Justin left me a voicemail about Scott's new position, saying that Victor appointed Abby to be the acting CEO while he's away, so why would he need to hire a watchdog for her? He never did that to Nick, Victoria, or Adam. This only confirms Abby's insecurities of being an outsider Newman. Excellent point, especially since if he didn't trust Adam, I mean, he didn't have somebody coming in and keeping an eye on Adam necessarily. Why is Abby such a big red flag and an invoice that it seems probably in the scheme of things is a drop in the bucket for Newman Enterprises? I don't know. Tina Cole at yrchat.com says, are we going to see a Scott, Sharon, Abby love triangle? I remember Abby and Stitch didn't get along when they first met and they ended up married. Maybe the same thing will happen with Scott. By that time, Nick and Chelsea will be broken up and Nick will go to be with Sharon. I kind of like the idea of Nick and Sharon being back together. And that fits with what I was saying about Sharon and Scott maybe being the preview and Scott and Abby being the relationship that's ultimately going to work. I maybe prefer Scott and Sharon as being friends at this point as opposed to the full-blown love, and maybe Y&R knows that. I think you might be right, Tina Cole. I think this is probably what they're planning ahead for the future. Nick and Sharon back together would just make my day. Kyle on Twitter sent me this little zinger and I wanted to share it because it really made me laugh. Kyle says, inconsistencies. Thursday, Sharon is on the phone saying phobias are not on the psych final. Then later, she's doing phobia class flashcards with Scott. How dare you, Y&R? Get it straight. We need our continuity here. Ambreen at yrchat.com says, Allie, don't you think Noah's cute? He's such a nice smile and pouty lips. I just started noticing. I would love to see him away from the underground and in some regular clothes. I second the regular clothes comment, Ambreen, because it has to annoy the actor, right? Every day it's like pants in the underground t-shirt. Come on. But this is what Tessa is for. Surely they're going to be out on the town and doing something that'll get him into a different outfit. Okay, Tina Cole at yrchat.com also had a follow-up comment here about Nick and Chelsea that I wanted to mention. Tina Cole says, what will be the bigger secret to come out?
Chelsea hiding that Adam is the true father of Christian, or Nick hiding that Victor brought Chloe to town? I think Chelsea will be angry for Nick hiding the secret, but she already knew Victor framed Adam with the journal, and that secret cannot trump hiding Christian's true paternity. I hadn't even followed that thought all the way there, Tina Cole, so I'm glad you said it. I was just focused on the hell that Chelsea's going to want to rain onto Victor, but you're right. As soon as Chelsea finds out that it was Victor, she's going to tell Nick, and she's going to read all over Nick's face that he already knew. The question is, how much is Chelsea's conscience going to bother her here? Is she going to say, yeah, Nick knew the secret, but I knew a secret too, so maybe I'll just back off? I don't know. I think that might be giving Chelsea a little bit too much credit. I think I can see her getting mad at Nick and giving him the blow off and maybe staying mad at him. I don't know. Who knows? Well, we're a few weeks down the road for that one. But you know what? The way she was sitting there at the end of her sequence of scenes for the week, she's figuring out that it was Victor. So maybe by next week she will confront Nick and we'll find out. Oh, Sharita had left me a voice message, and a couple other people had talked around this. That Jordan's big secret is password fraud, or sorry, passport fraud. Sharita says that just seems lame. There's definitely more to that. A couple people have mentioned that they felt like maybe Jordan and Chelsea were in collusion over nude photos or something like that, and that maybe probably is going to connect into Hilary's nude photos. Everybody's kind of right here that passport, I mean, it makes sense given what those two, what we know about Chelsea and about Jordan, but I guess, I don't know, either there's more to it or I just assumed there was more to it, but you're right. What else could it be though? There's got to be more to Jordan's story. Why would he go on about the things he had to do in New York? Passport fraud, it's not that big of a deal, right? Oh, Gary left me a voicemail this past week, and I'm glad you said this because I've been feeling it and I just hadn't mentioned it. But Gary says, the on-air broadcasts of GC Buzz are dumber than ever. It's all so unreal. They need filler for that show other than just Hilary. Well, I'm glad somebody said it because now I want to say it. I don't feel GC Buzz. I mentioned it, I think maybe even a couple months ago, but I like the set of GC Buzz, but I feel like I'm supposed to enjoy when they go on air and do these segments, but I don't. It feels lame to me. There's just something, it doesn't feel right. It's not a show that I would watch. Maybe that's part of it. I know Julie Chen is going to be making a cameo on Y&R, and I want to say maybe she's doing a GC Buzz interview or something, but maybe that could be the last of it. Yeah, GC Buzz, I would not shed a tear if it went away. We'll just say that. Sandra at yrchat.com says, I am thoroughly enjoying Devon and Mariah. Hilary's exploits haven't made either of them even glance sideways at her. I'm hoping Devon and Mariah can build something solid. If Devon reconciles with Hilary in some bizarre plot twist, that would really break Mariah's heart. Well, first of all, I'm glad that you said that because I was trying really hard to watch Devon and Mariah this week to find out especially what Devon's reaction to Hilary was. So I'm glad I wasn't the only one, even as a Hilary fan, who interpreted that Devon didn't seem all that affected by her. I mean, I'm watching Devon in his post-coitus moments with Mariah, wondering if he is thinking about Hilary, and I didn't pick up on that. Maybe I just wasn't tuned in, but I'm glad at least I wasn't the only one who had that kind of idea. I think that Hilary maybe wishes they were a little bit more concerned with her, but maybe they're not. I said last week that I was worried Mariah was just getting caught up in Devon and Hilary's story, but then this week of shows and trying to keep my eye on Devon, I wonder if Y&R is just letting Devon and Hilary be done for now. I kind of want to see Hilary hook up with Jack or something. That might be a little bit fun. A little bit fun and a little bit naughty. But why not? I mean, Jack's dated younger women before. It's not that wild. I don't know, I think that could be good. Oh, Beatrice left me a voicemail saying, Kane, why are you acting this way when you have a beautiful supermodel wife? It feels like we've gone back to Genoa City High School here. I got a lot of comments about Kane this week. Nobody's happy with him. Everybody's grumpy. Grumpy with his grumpiness. Lot Fally left me a comment at yrchat.com, even taking it a step further and saying, when does a character become so uninteresting that he or she becomes a liability to the show? I've been asking myself that as I struggle with Daniel Goddard's portrayal of Kane. Kane's character, while never dynamic, has now become simply dull and repetitious, glum and passive. He plods along with the same unchanging expression on his face and the same predictable response to each situation. Well, Lot Valley, you know I'm a fan of Kane, but I will admit, it's mostly, it's just mostly that I find him attractive. I think it's a valid point. I'm ticked off at the character of Kane right now. I don't dislike the actor, but maybe some other people do. I think I like Kane as the romantic lead. I suppose maybe that's it. I'm not sure that he's there yet. But as someone else mentioned, maybe we're in a transition period with Kane. Maybe I think it was Mary Ann, I want to say. Maybe it's that Kane is not fully given over to an Adam type dark side sort of vibe, that maybe that's where Y&R is sort of getting him. I imagine that he's going to stay on the show and he's going to continue to have storylines, and I imagine it's going to be a problem for Lily. But I like that you mentioned specifically about, why is this guy on the show in light of what's going on with Greg Ricart and Kevin. Last week we did a poll and I asked you guys how you feel about the fact that Greg Ricart as Kevin is leaving Y&R. It was pretty much overwhelmingly the majority of people, let's see, 84% with varying reactions, were not happy to see Kevin go. I would be curious to hear from the 16% that said, I'm okay with him leaving, and not to rag on you. If you have a legitimate maybe a comment about Greg Ricart or why you don't really like him on the show, I'd like to hear it. No judgment at all. I don't ever jump on anybody for their opinions. Everybody's entitled, and characters speak to people for different reasons. So, but I just, it is an interesting question as to why Greg Ricart, why Kevin, and as Lot Felly says, maybe why not Kane? Why him and not someone else? I don't know if it's because they weren't able to successfully link him up in a romantic way, but I felt like the character of Kevin is comedic relief, and in a way, this is the thing. I feel like it's got to be salary driven. This is just me tossing it out there, but we've gotten a lot of characters that are coming back from the past. We've gotten a lot of new characters. I mean, we've got like Deena, and they're bringing Jess Walton back. I mean, we got Scott. There's a lot of new people and a lot of new sets, a lot of new time going into the show. Some money's got to come from somewhere, and I just almost wonder if they didn't put up a dartboard and with everybody's name on the show and just like toss the dart and decide somebody's got to go to make room for something else, and we don't have anything going for Kevin right now, so let's just let him go for a while. Maybe he'll come back, maybe he won't. It is disappointing, especially because I would have rather continued to see some development on Kevin's character than, for instance, Scott. Nothing against Scott, because I'm not passionate about him, but with some work maybe I can be. But it is disappointing to me that somebody had to go, and that it would be someone who we were just getting into a story with. We were just getting into this paternity twist. He is connected to Michael, is connected to Gloria. She's another person, another salary that's coming back onto the show that I enjoy quite much. But a shame that they would be bringing her on at a time and then letting her son go, especially when they're developing Gloria as being a mother. She's spent some time this past couple weeks talking at length about her guilt as a mother and her wanting to step up as a mother, and now one of her sons is going away. It is sad, and I wonder if does anybody have any behind the scenes knowledge that I don't have about this, other than Greg Rickhart's Instagram post from last week. He confirmed that he's leaving the show, that his contract was not renewed. I am assuming, I suppose, that it was Y&R's decision. He could have decided. I don't know why. Why would you decide, though, out of nowhere to just leave? I'm not sure. If anybody has any scoop, are there any Y&R insiders who are Y&R chatters as well, who can give me any kind of info on why this happened? There are definitely times where Y&R has let characters go and they've come back, so I feel confident that Kevin has not left our screen forever. I'm sure that his leaving the show is going to be connected to Chloe somehow. I imagine considering he's constantly defending her, I'm imagining that he's going to take Bella and go off to find her and be with her, and maybe when they come back they'll both come back. But for a contract player who's been on the show for as long as he has, it certainly is disappointing. That would be my official reaction to this, is that it is disappointing. So that's that. Moving on here, Anna left me a voicemail saying that her favorite things about the week were the fight between Mariah and Hilary, and Phyllis's cooking a souffle because everybody knows she can't cook. Y&R is doing so many little touches with the show right now. I mean, that whole sequence, that effect with the souffle had to have taken some time. They had to, I don't know how they pulled off, but it's a special effect of sorts. Those things cost money. I wonder if that is, kind of one of the more reasons they had to start cutting some salaries, even if temporarily. But yeah, it was a neat little effect. I personally enjoyed that. Superplex at yrchat.com says, that was one big souffle. I looked at that big ramekin, I guess it's a ramekin, or I don't know, the casserole dish, Superplex, and I thought the same thing too. Like, why'd she make that giant souffle for two people? And not to mention, if she's trying to be the anti-Victoria, who I picture as this, they did this whole June Cleaver thing with her, and she's wearing these poofed out dresses and aprons, why would Phyllis want to make something so uppity as a souffle? She could have made him a double batch of peanut butter cookies, and he would have been perfectly happy with it. Make Billy some peanut butter cookies and give him a night that he will not soon forget in the bedroom, and he'd be fine. Let me look here at my YouTube comments. Anne Boleyn had left me a comment saying that and keep in mind, this comment was like Sunday or something, saying Victoria's already using the kids on Billy. The phone call from Katie was just the beginning. So Anne was predicting here that Victoria is actually using the children as a tool to get her relationship back. I was not sure that she would do something like that, but that it does seem that Victoria is using all of her assets. ACO on YouTube also says, the Billy, Phyllis, Victoria stuff is interesting. I don't think Billy knows what or who he wants, ACO says. He doesn't seem all that in love with Phyllis, or he doesn't seem all in with Phyllis, but he clearly could have Victoria if he wanted her. I think that Billy's gonna be the key here. As far, the women are gonna fight it out, but what Billy wants at the end of the day is gonna drive what Billy gets. I also liked that ACO left a comment here about Deena and Catherine, because I did not watch in the original time when Deena came on the show. And I remember her popping up in the 90s, but I can only know Deena's real backstory from the little bit there is to read. There's not old episodes online, so I just end up getting to read things here and there. So I appreciate when people who were watching at the time are able to reflect on their memories. ACO says that Deena and Catherine were close friends. Deena was always a powerful woman. She didn't need to want to be Catherine Chancellor. I think I had theorized that maybe she kind of looked up to Catherine, and it sounds like maybe that's not correct. Deena was just like Catherine, ACO says, all the way down to inheriting her husband's company. And in fact, Deena was richer, actually, than Catherine. Also, fun fact, ACO says, Catherine was a big part of the reveal of Ashley's paternity, and Catherine is Ashley's godmother. All of this is because Deena's relationship with Catherine. Deena also loathes Jill, so that interaction should be fun. Marianne had left me a comment at yrchat.com saying the same thing. Deena and Kay apparently did not like Jill for different reasons, so that was another thing they had in common. Marianne says it'll be interesting to see Jill and Deena interact, since Jill is supposed to be back this summer. They could sell tickets to Gloria, Jill, and Deena for sure. I'm looking forward to that because that's giving me my classic soap that I love so much. Like 3 powerful, seasoned actresses coming onto the screen and maybe fighting it out. That to me is entertainment. Okay, my Y&R friends. Happy Mother's Day. I had a couple people email me or message me to say happy first Mother's Day, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. My wish for Mother's Day would have been to sleep in to 8 a.m., but I didn't get it. In fact, I was up no less than a dozen times throughout the night, and then up again at 6. So, yeah, I didn't get my first Mother's Day wish, but maybe my second Mother's Day wish will come true. And well, part of my wish, darn it, is that I can make some soap today. So as I'm finishing up with Y&R Chat, I'm gonna go and make, I intend to go make some new soap. I got lots of really good feedback on the lotions and the sugar scrubs and the lip balms. Thank you. You know, like, it just feeds my soul, because this is a little creative outlet that I have that it's like I'm marrying 2 worlds, my soaps, and it just makes me happy to know that you guys are enjoying them too. So thank you for the feedback. I think I still have like two Ashley scrubs. I'm shocked because the Ashley ones are really good, and they've been going so quick, and they're even better as the scrub than they were in the soap. I might not even make it as soap anymore because it's like perfection inside of the scrubs, and even better than it was in the lotions too. And I think I have one tiny little jar, well, not tiny, but one little sample size jar of Lily. Don't let that go. Do not let somebody else get that jar of Lily's lotion, because it is good and it's perfect for spring, and I only make it once a year, so somebody needs to get that in their hands. And new stuff I will be working on, and I'll keep you posted about that. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, if you're into like the whole soap thing, GenoaCitySoap.com. There's a link there where you can sign up for the newsletter and keep updated on what I'm doing as far as that, and get little secret giveaways and other things that I only share with the newsletter subscribers if you're into that. And then of course there's yrchat.com, where everybody can feel free to leave me your comments about the show. You can from there find Facebook. Twitter too works, or Facebook or Twitter, or you can leave me a voicemail, 309 588-4569. You can leave text comments there on YouTube. However you want to contact me, I want you to know that I appreciate it. I really, really do. I love getting your comments. I thank you very much for listening to me and interacting with me about the show. Once again, especially as life changes constantly, this is my constant. You guys are my, you're like my little bubble of fun and stability in a way, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. So happy Mother's Day to all of you. Thank your mom, or think of your mom, remember your mom, and come back next week and we will chat about Y&R. I love you guys. Bye.